September 28th, 2024, Saturday of the 25th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the book of Ecclesiastes. Rejoice, O young man, while you are young, and let your heart be glad in the days of your youth. Follow the ways of your heart, the vision of your eyes. Yet understand that as regards all this, God will bring you to judgment. Ward off grief from your heart and put away trouble from your presence, though the dawn of youth is fleeting. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years approach of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Before the sun is darkened and the light and the moon and the stars, while the clouds return after the rain, when the guardians of the house tremble and the strong men are bent, and the grinders are idle because they are few, and they who look through the windows grow blind, when the doors to the street are shut, and the sound of the mill is low, when one waits for the chirp of a bird, but all the daughters of song are suppressed, and one fears heights and perils in the street, when the almond tree blooms and the locust grows sluggish, and the caperberry is without effect, because man goes to his lasting home, and mourners go about the streets. Before the silver cord is snapped, and the golden bowl is broken, and the pitcher is shattered at the spring, and the broken pulley falls into the well, and the dust returns to the earth as it once was, and the life-breath returns to God who gave it. Vanity of vanities, says Koheleth, all things are vanity. The Word of the Lord.
The Responsorial Psalm. The response is, In every age, O Lord, you have been our refuge. You turn man back to dust, saying, Return, O children of men. For 1,000 years in your sight are as yesterday, now that it is past, or as a watch of the night. In every age, O Lord, you have been our refuge. You make an end of them in their sleep. The next morning they are like the changing grass, which at dawn springs up anew, but by evening wilts and fades. In every age, O Lord, you have been our refuge. Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain wisdom of heart. Return, O Lord, how long? Have pity on your servants. In every age, O Lord, you have been our refuge. Fill us at daybreak with your kindness, that we may shout for joy and gladness all our days. And may the gracious care of the Lord our God be ours. Prosper the work of our hands for us. Prosper the work of our hands. In every age, O Lord, you have been our refuge.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. While they were all amazed at his every deed, Jesus said to his disciples, Pay attention to what I am telling you. The Son of Man is to be handed over to men. But they did not understand this saying. Its meaning was hidden from them, so that they should not understand it. And they were afraid to ask him about this saying. The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflection. A well-ordered soul. Saturday of the 25th week in Ordinary Time. Pay attention to what I am telling you. The Son of Man is to be handed over to men. But they did not understand this saying. Its meaning was hidden from them so that they should not understand it, and they were afraid to ask him about this saying. Luke 9 verses 44 and 45. This is the second time that Jesus predicts his coming passion to his apostles. After telling them that he will be handed over, the Gospel relates that they did not understand this saying. It also states that they were afraid to ask him about this saying. Why did they not understand? And why were they afraid to ask Jesus about his coming passion? The apostles were deeply attached to our Lord, both on a spiritual level and also through their affections. And this is good. But sometimes our affections can cloud our thinking and make it difficult to understand the deeper spiritual realities in life. Though our affections are natural, they must always be directed by the will of God. For example, if we were to try to understand Jesus' affections, we'd have to conclude that he both spiritually and affectionately desired to lay down his life for the salvation of souls in accord with the will of the Father. He not only chose this with his will, but he also desired it in his affections, because his affections were perfectly ordered. The apostles, however, were unable to understand that Jesus had to lay down his life, be rejected, suffer and die. In part because they were very attached to Jesus in an emotional and affectionate way. So in this instance, their human love and attachment to Jesus hindered their ability to understand the greater spiritual good of Jesus laying down his life. Consider, also, our Blessed Mother. How would she have reacted to Jesus saying that he had to be handed over, be rejected, suffer and die? Though this would have grieved her with a holy sorrow, the perfection of her human nature would have led her to not only understand and accept this deep spiritual truth, but she would have also desired this to happen within her affections because she perfectly desired the fulfillment of the will of the Father. There would have been no conflict within her between the will of the Father and what she desired. In our own lives, we will often tend to struggle in the same way that the apostles struggled. When faced with some challenging cross in life, a cross that the Father calls us to embrace freely, we will often find that our affections resist. When this happens, we become confused and even fearful of the future. Thus, the only way to conquer fear is to work to surrender every emotion, every affection and every human attachment over to the will of the Father so that his will is all we desire with every power of our soul. Reflect, today, upon the interior struggle of these apostles as they came face to face with this the second time Jesus began to prepare them to accept, understand, choose and desire his passion. Consider the interior struggle they went through at that time and even as they saw this unfold. Eventually they understood. Eventually all fear vanished. And eventually they affectionately rejoiced in Jesus' sacrifice. But it took much time and much surrender. Reflect upon those ways our Lord is inviting you to choose his cross in your life. Where you see your affections resisting, try to surrender, pray for understanding and seek the courage you need to desire his cross with all your soul. My revealing Lord, you opened your divine heart to your apostles and invited them to understand and choose your suffering and death. And though they hesitated and struggled, you continued to invite them to embrace the Father's will. Give me the grace I need, dear Lord, to embrace every spiritual truth first and foremost and to allow that truth to free me from fear and fill me with the gift of understanding.
Jesus, I trust in you.